Hey there, and welcome to Christy Takes the Community, your go-to space for motivation, inspiration, and education. I'm Christy, and this podcast is all about lifting each other up, supporting small businesses, and creating a stronger, more connected community. Each episode will dive into powerful stories, expert insights, and practical tips to help you grow, whether in life, business, or your own professional journey. Because when we come together, we thrive together. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's take the community to new heights. This is Christy Takes the Community. Let's do this. Alrighty, we are live. Today I am here with Jenn Jacques with New American Funding, the Impact Loan Team. Thank you for joining me today, Jenn.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what you do at New American Funding.
I am the sales manager for the Impact Loan Team with New American Funding. We do residential mortgages, and we have a vast array of different products that we're able to offer for first-time home buyers to seasoned investors.
That's awesome. Yay. I'm so excited to have you here today. So there is a lot we can talk about in the mortgage lending industry, but today we're going to focus on a couple things in particular. So first I want to start with what inspired you to become a mortgage lender? How has the journey been to date, and how has that journey shaped the way you work with your clients?
Okay, so that's actually a really interesting story. I used to work in banking. I was going to be a financial advisor. I was working as a junior, and I actually did not like the person I was working for. Okay. So I took a 1-week vacation over the summer, and instead of enjoying the beach, going out, living life, I applied to 27 different places. And I was hired on the spot to be a mortgage loan officer.
Wow.
Took the job. It was definitely scary. So going from a set salary, knowing what I was making, to 100% commission, definitely a hard step to take.
I feel that.
Yes. But I was able to get it done. Single mom. I had just bought my first house, and here I am today.
Wow.
I'm loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the mortgage profession?
Strictly mortgages for 9 years, but I started in the financial industry in 2004.
All right. Awesome.
So, 21 years now.
That's great. Can you share a memorable story where you helped a client achieve home ownership against odds?
I can. Actually, there's one
probably
I tell
have many, right?
Yes. I tell everyone this all the time. So I had a single mom who, her daughter was, I believe, 14 at the time. She had been struggling, always renting, couldn't stand her landlord, and just, living the world where she just didn't think she was ever going to be able to get forward with life. Yeah. She had a good job, but just couldn't make ends meet. So after, I want to say it took a couple months to get her where she really needed to be. When I was driving home, I was able to give her that phone call saying, "Congratulations, you're pre-approved." And she was bawling her eyes out, so happy. I get I get choked up talking about it just because it was such a rewarding moment to be able to tell her, you're going to do what everyone said you wouldn't be able to do.
Right.
And then she closed out her home a couple months later, and she's still there. She's happy, living the life she always wanted to live.
That's amazing. And home ownership is a huge part of the American dream.
It is.
I think in this client's case, and many people out there have this dooming sense of reality that I'm never going to be able to own, right? And think that they can never achieve home ownership and they'll be renting forever. Yep. What's one piece of advice you would tell that person?
Don't be a stigma. No one is stigmatized. You want it, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Get out there and do it.
That's so awesome, Jenn. Okay. What is one big misconception people have about getting a mortgage that you wish more people understood?
You do not need 20% down.
Yes. That's a huge one.
Yes, there's so many programs out there. You don't need 20% down. You can do it with as little as 3% down for a conventional mortgage. And you don't need perfect credit either.
Yes, I think those two factors are huge. Me myself, I'm an example. I wasn't, in the real estate industry when I purchased my first house, and thought I had to have an 840 credit score and $50K in the bank, and it's a huge misconception right now. So I think that was a really valid point to bring up. And then with rates and rules always changing, how would you stay ahead and keep your clients informed without overwhelming them?
Oof. That's a good one. We actually do stay on top of every guideline. There's emails that we get throughout the day where, Fannie or Freddie might have changed their programs, their guidelines. So we're always staying on top of whatever is changing. But what we do is when someone is pre-approved, we don't just give you a letter and walk away. We make sure that we stay on top of your pre-approval to make sure that, okay, this guideline might have changed. Are you still pre-approved?
Right.
Make sure that we're staying up on your income documents, your credit. Make sure that, it might be 30, 60, 90 days before you find a home.
Right.
By the time you get to the closing table, or by the time you go into contract, you're actually still approved to buy that property.
Right, exactly. And again, with the rate changes, rules and regs changing constantly, it's so important because one tiny rate increase, right, Jen, could possibly bump a buyer out of qualification
100%.
at a certain price point. So it is super important that your lender, your realtor, everyone works at a team to keep up with those rules and regulations and make sure that that doesn't happen to any of our clients.
Yes. Who you work with matters. And that is the biggest thing I can tell everybody.
100%.
Yes.
I agree with that fully. So why would you recommend that any client or consumer that is purchasing a home, whether it's the first time, second time, or third time, work with a trusted real estate professional?
There is a lot of realtors, a lot of lenders in this state, in this country. Just because they have their license doesn't mean that they're the person to talk to.
Right.
So, you can talk to me, you can talk to anyone that someone else refers you, your cousin who just got their license.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they know what they're going to do, what they're supposed to be doing, and doesn't mean that you're going to get to the closing table.
Yeah, very true.
When someone applies with me, it might take a couple days to get your pre-approval letter.
Right.
But there's a reason for that. It's not click button, get mortgage here.
Right.
We want to make sure we're validating every piece of information because that name on the pre-approval letter is my name. And that is my personal guarantee that you're going to close on your mortgage.
Yes. And I think that's so important too. I think especially for first-time home buyers to kind of bring this up, we have these online mortgage approvals and it's difficult to explain to the consumer or potential buyer client why their pre-approval really doesn't matter much because it's technically a pre-qual, right? It's not a pre-approval. Can you tell me what the difference is between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval?
Absolutely. When you go to check your mail, how often do you get your pre-qualified for a credit card?
Every day.
Exactly. Don't open them, by the way.
Right.
So when you're pre-qualified, it just means that you basically have a social security number and a name. So they're not looking at anything. They're not validating any of your information. If you were actually go and apply for it, again, there's plenty of people out there who can get whatever credit card they want. But for the normal person these days, if you go to apply for that credit card, you might not actually get approved.
Right.
So when you're trying to buy the biggest purchase of your life, make sure you truly qualify for it.
Correct.
It's only as good, the application is only as good as the information that you put into it with that click button, get mortgage. So if you're working with a trusted professional and they're asking you for your bank statements, they're asking you for your pay stubs, it seems redundant.
Yeah.
It might be, but you're going to buy a house.
Yes. More than likely the
Yes.
biggest financial purchase of your life.
Yes.
So this is big stuff. So this actually is a perfect prompt to lead us into the next question. How important is it for home buyers to work with a local lender versus the big national companies or the online guys we were just talking about?
Very important. You want to make sure that your realtor and your loan officer has a relationship together because we're both working to get you the keys to that property. So if there's something that pops up, I want to be able to talk to the realtor that's working with my buyer. So you and I, we're able to pick up the phone at any point and say, hey, listen, we ran into a hiccup. Let's try and work through the next step so we can make sure this process continues.
Absolutely. And that means nights and weekends.
Yes.
Not just Monday through Friday.
We don't have hours.
9 to 5. We don't have hours. And I can tell you from the real estate professional perspective how important that is. I'm out with my buyers shopping all weekend. We have open houses. Listing agents are setting deadlines for offers. And my online or big corporate bank, approval is nowhere to be found.
Yep.
I can possibly miss a client's deadline and opportunity to get that property just because of the type of mortgage lender that they had chosen to work with. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think that is the perfect answer coming from real estate professional, working with buyers. I can't tell you how important it is that I can contact you on the weekend, that I can contact you after a 4 or 5 p.m. And it's really all about being that that best team for that client,
It
right?
is.
Like we are a team. Both of us have the same goal to get that client to the closing table as less stressful as we possibly can, right?
Correct.
All right. Thank you so much.
I have an office phone number. I don't even know what it is. I give everyone my cell phone.
Right? Is
Call or
office
text me.
numbers even like a thing nowadays?
I
Like,
have one. I don't know what it is.
not in our business. Right? I couldn't even tell you what the Here Realty number is, to be honest.
Yeah, call me, text me.
Right? So what sets you apart from other lenders? And how do you build trust with your clients during one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives? And now, I guess this question is twofold, because if you're working with the client, they already have a no-like trust factor, right? So tell me a little bit about that and what that means for you particularly, Jen.
So I actually work off of more of a mortgage advisory model rather than a loan officer model. And the details behind that are I'm going to help advise you to get you where you need to be. If you're looking to purchase within 6-12 months, that's perfectly fine. You have to have a starting point.
Right.
Your starting point is today. We're pulling credit. We're going through your income. We're going through where you stand today. You might have a goal of buying that $500,000 house. You might not qualify for it today. So let's get you where you need to be.
Right.
I love the premise of working towards future financial freedom. Real estate is
that.
huge, huge factor in financial freedom, whether it be having multiple investment properties, building equity in your primary residence.
Right.
You know, you can buy it. So many people in the last few years have bought for, let's say, $300,000. It's worth over $6,000 or $600,000 now.
Right.
You know, there's equity being built daily. You're making your mortgage payment. You're working towards building equity.
Yep.
You're not doing that when you're renting.
So correct. The interest on your rent is 100%.
Exactly.
And to the equity point too, even in your own personal property, the smallest improvements, boom, you have, instant equity right there, right?
Paint.
Right, paint, like
so
the
little.
most simplest thing, right? Like just some
You buy a
clean
gallon of paint for like $70,
Right.
and you just build equity.
And then I think it's important too to let the consumer know, I always tell everyone it's never a bad time to purchase real estate.
It's not.
There are ebbs and flows. There are higher rates. There are more difficult times. But again, we both know that rate isn't set in stone, right? But to me, I like to sometimes explain it as real estate could be a financial backbone in two ways. Say you were to lose a job, and have some financial things happen. You could, one, sell, maybe downsize. Two, you could borrow some equity against the house, right? To like save yourself out of a financial position. And three, you have generational wealth, right? So you have something to pass down. And then in a positive perspective too, say you did take equity out, right, of your home in the form of a financial loan, you could reinvest that into another property. And here you go.
Do.
Boom, investment, right?
Yes.
So real estate, it just never loses value. There's just some better times, and it's all depending on your situation.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
It's all situational. Yep. For first-time home buyers especially, what advice do you always give them that tends to stick?
Call me. Just call me. Ask me the questions.
That is the best piece of advice, Jen.
Ask me the questions.
It really is.
I love to tell people that I'm like the quarterback. So if you follow football, even if you don't know anything about football, I look at the situation as I'm your quarterback. My goal is to get you to the end zone. You're buying your house. That's the end zone. Underwriters, they're the line of defense. They're trying to stop us.
Right.
They're looking through every hole to find out what is going to pop up and stop us from getting to that end zone. So help me help you.
Yes.
Call me.
Call me.
Even if you think it's something bad, I can help you get to where we need to be.
And that's such a good point too, Jen. So many people, back to the first-time home buyer, right? I'll talk to someone, oh, well, I'm not ready to buy. And I go, well, how do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't have good credit. But do you know how to improve that credit and where it needs to be?
Yeah.
How to get there? I think it's important for everyone to hear, too, that to connect with a real estate professional or a mortgage professional, this is free. Yeah. This doesn't cost money, and you don't have to have a ton of money in the bank. All you have to have is a want and a dream and a vision to own real estate.
Exactly.
Connect with a Jen, connect with a Christy, and we're going to guide you in the right place. And if that to-do list that you spoke of takes 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, we're here for it, right?
Yeah. Yep. We're point A.
That's
We're your
right.
starting point.
That's right. So you heard it here first. Call Jenn if you want to buy or if you want to figure out how to buy, right? Like that's so important. How do we know if we don't know?
Yeah.
And it could be little things, right? Like credit fixes and stuff like that. Jenn, how can we contact you?
You can call me at 401-480-6596. That is my personal cell phone number. I don't know my other number.
Yeah.
You're going, I don't know where it's ringing.
Directly to Jenn when you call. And also, you do have a website.
I do.
I put it up right here. If you want to spit it out for us really quick in case someone wants to pop on and see if they can get pre-qualified or contact you there.
Absolutely. You can go to www.theimpactloanteam.com and you can click on apply now and my page will pop right up.
Fantastic. All right. What is one valuable piece of advice that you can give someone wanting to start their own business or side hustle? Now, I have to preface this with it's not obvious to people that we are a small business, right?
Correct.
I think a lot of people don't understand that we do work for ourselves. This is that is Jenn on her own. This is Christy on her own. We are affiliated with offices and companies, but that is merely to hold our licenses legally so we can operate and practice legally. But we really are our own business. And so I think what's a valuable piece of advice that you would give someone wanting to either start, say, like, a mosquito business or become a mortgage lender or become a realtor? And what part of that, what can you say has impacted your business and growth personally and professionally?
Find a mentor. If you are looking to become a realtor, become a loan officer, become someone in the mosquito business,
right?
Find a mentor and hold on to them tight because they will walk you through all of their mistakes because we all make them.
Oh my goodness, right?
So our goal is to help coach you so you don't make the same mistakes. We all grow. I believe I'm very good in this industry because I've made mistakes and I've learned from them.
Yeah.
So there's no two loans that are the same, and there's always something that's popping up that's going to mess you up.
and you'll never make that mistake again, right?
Exactly.
Same in real estate. Same thing happens to me. I think that's great. All right. So before we get wrapped up here, I have a couple of things I want to ask you. If you could give every first-time home buyer a magic mortgage wand to make one part of their process easier, what would it fix and why?
That's a good question.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, technology is a big one. A lot of people, you'd be surprised how many pictures I get of documents, and
I know.
it's a crotch shot
you can't
or
use them, right? And you can't use them, right?
Exactly. So when you take a picture, if you can't read it, neither can we.
Right.
So being right above it helps.
We are talking financial documents here, people.
Yes, and don't text them to us. I don't want your social security number on my phone.
So we need safe and secure information.
Yes.
So if you could give them that magic mortgage wand, it would be all docs in a PDF file.
Yes. Or just use our mobile app. You can upload it directly through the mobile app and it goes directly into your file.
Right.
No more spam filters.
Oh my goodness. Jenn, can you tell me what you think the community in general is curious about when it comes to real estate?
Yes, everyone, I can't say everyone, a lot of people assume that there's a crash coming. There's not a crash. We had a housing crisis from 2008 to 2018.
Correct.
We are now rebounded from that crisis.
Yes.
The biggest issue we're running into right now is inventory. The builders stopped building during that time.
Yep.
They were buying the dilapidated homes, and now those $80,000 to $100,000 homes that they were able to flip and rehab, they were selling for $300,000 to $400,000.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to catch up with building, but there's not going to be a crash.
Right.
There's just not enough inventory for the amount of adults out there.
Yeah, no, that's true for one. Two, I think the housing crisis you spoke of, it taught the government a lot of lessons.
Taught everybody lessons.
Right, where they don't make it very easy.
Yes.
But these are put in place for a reason. The reason that when you apply for a mortgage and they want everything but your firstborn is to make sure that financially you don't get in over your head and end up upside down. Right.
Yes.
Again, back to the qualification and why that's so important.
We want you to keep your home, not just buy your home. We want to keep you there.
Exactly.
And buy another home because you have that home.
Exactly. We don't want the home to go anywhere.
No, we don't like foreclosures.
Right. But I think I agree with you 100%. And I think it is the biggest thing that we hear. And I think you and I probably cringe a little bit. I know me personally, I cringe a little bit. I'm like, oh, there is never going to be a crash. It's not going to be a crash. We're going to have ebbs and flows and changes. Yes. But we are so behind in the supply and demand inventory in housing that that isn't even something we can even fathom right now.
We may never catch up.
Right. We may never catch up, which is why I think a lot of cities and towns recently have started lessening up their building restrictions.
Yes.
Allowing, ADUs and adaptable use and different types of real estate to house more humans.
Yeah.
Right? It's
yeah.
ultimately like what we're trying to do here. Now, real estate is hard. Right? And we're moms.
Yes.
We're both moms. And that's hard too.
Yes.
Won't take that away from anyone.
My hairdresser loves me.
Right? This career takes a lot of relentlessness, but it also takes heart, right? Mm-hmm. And I truly believe, and I know this from personal experience, I was in corporate America for 17 years. Hated it, wanted to stab my eyes out. Got into real estate. Is it an easy job? Absolutely not. I traded a 9-to-5 for a 24/7. But would I give it back for the world? Absolutely not. I get to work with people on a daily basis. No 2 days are ever the same.
No.
Right? And that's enjoyable, right? Keeps us on our toes. Mm-hmm. But it takes like a lot of relentlessness and a lot of hustle and a lot of heart. What is it about your profession in lending that you're passionate about?
The profession itself, I like the freedom. I like that, I can still be a mom. I can go to the field trips. I can go to the doctor's appointments. I can do what I need to do for my daughter, but I can also be the same person that's there for the buyers because you need that person holding your hand. Yeah. And you're going to get that with me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much, Jen. So yeah, I guess I can wrap it up with now you're in the real estate profession, but if you could ask any real estate professional in the world, what's one question you would ask them?
Oh, good question. Yeah, you stumped me.
It's a good one, right?
It is. What is your favorite type of buyer?
Oh, that's a good one. So my personal opinion is the first-time home buyer, of course. Now, this is due to personal reasons. I was the first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. I was that consumer that thought I needed the 820 credit score and the $50K in the bank and that I would be renting forever and I was never going to buy. And come to find out, I didn't need nearly that much of a credit score or money. I don't even think we paid anything, to be honest, with FHA. This was almost 10 years ago. But I was born to teenage parents. They never had like this family home. Yep. And so I bounced around from apartment to apartment. Never had that like family childhood home that I can remember growing up in. So when I closed on that house, it was just an amazing accomplishment. But my daughter was only one. And to think like, oh, she's going to have that, right? Mm-hmm. And now I remember that feeling at the closing table, getting the keys and being like, wow, like I'm first generation to like get keys to a home and I'm going to raise my daughter there. I still get that feeling now when I sit across from the clients that are getting their keys for the first time and just made that major accomplishment. And there's no amount of money in the world that could pay for that feeling, right?
Exactly.
And that like satisfaction of knowing you help someone achieve a huge, huge dream. Yeah. Right. And like, that's what I'm here for. And I think to be really good in this industry, you have to be passionate, right? About helping people, working with people. Communication, as you said, is huge. Being available for everyone 24/7 is not an easy task. But you're right. The flexibility is just wonderful, right? And we're able to just, I think, help so many people being so passionate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rewarding.
It is very rewarding. And then, Jen, tell me a fun fact about Jenn Jacques.
Oh.
What is something that we don't know about you?
All right, here's a good one. My grandfather created G.I. Joe.
No.
Yeah. Norman Jacques.
No. Tell me more about this.
Yep.
Now I'm going to have to go deep diving on the internet and the whole nine.
Fortunately, you don't have to dive that deep. He's everywhere.
That is
Yep.
so cool.
Yeah. He worked for Hasbro for 52 years. He had the longest tenure there. And when he came back from war, he met up with one of his other coworkers, and they said, hey, Mattel has Barbie. Let's do something of ours. And they created G.I. Joe.
That is such a cool story. I was not prepared for you to drop such a fun fact on me today. But that is really, really cool, Jenn.
Storm and Norman.
Storm and Norman, the creator of G.I. Joe. You heard it first here, guys, on the Christy Takes the Community podcast. Well, Jenn, it was such a pleasure to have you here today. I can't wait to continue working with you, grow our businesses together. I know you and I, we've started collaborating on a few different real estate areas, right? We brought up very briefly this whole ADU.
Yep.
Which is basically taking an existing building of some sort and turning it into living space, right? AKA garage, many things, which we can definitely dive into on another episode. You've been helping me a lot with the financing end of that because it's very different than regular residential financing, which I'm super appreciative of. And then also renovation loans, which I think we should probably do another episode on. I think that'd be really important, especially for that first-time home buyer with the strap budget.
Yep. Champagne home on a beer budget.
That's right.
We got that.
Well, thank you so much, Jenn. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. Until next time.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Christy Takes the Community. Remember, every small action makes a big impact, and together we're building something greater. Stay inspired, stay connected, and keep showing up for yourself and your community, because when we grow together, we thrive together. Remember, we can have more because we can become more. If you loved today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share, and keep the conversation going. Until next time, let's keep taking the community to new heights.